graphic organizer in front of them. Flip it over. So when we start filling in our graphic organizer, just like we did with cats and dogs, how do we write information in the boxes? When you're thinking about something, what's the best way to write information in each box? Enough?
You know, like bullets.
Yeah, you can do bullets. Do they have to be in complete sentences? No. You're just writing your thoughts, you're writing your ideas down. Okay, then when we take everything off the graphic organizer and write the paragraph, how is that going to be written?
Complete sentence.
Nate? Incomplete sentences. Okay, so it's just to guide you and help you.
Yeah, this graphic organizer is a little bit different than what we've used in the past, but kind of similar too to our cats and dogs. It just breaks down the pieces. What does the first box say? What does the first box say? Hannah?
Topic.
Good, so the first box is your topic. What's your next box, Tamar?
Detail. What happens to Esperanza?
What's the next box, Megan?
Explain why is the first detail important. How does it connect to the next detail?
What's the next box, Valentina? After explain, what comes next?
Detail. Esperanza's response to the event.
Good, what's the next box?
Explain what happens when Esperanza responds in the way that she does.
Good, and then the final box, Tamar?
Conclusion. What can we infer about Esperanza's character based on how she responds?
Inferring. Okay, but do you guys notice it goes topic, detail, explain, detail, explain. So how many details do you need for this paragraph? Ariam? 2, good. Why is it so important to explain? What is that going to be? What do we call that? So you have your detail and then your
Your introduction.
Your introduction, okay, it's part of your introduction, it's your supporting detail, right? We're going to be supporting the statement that you make.
Remember we talked about cats and dogs and we said dogs are good in protecting my family. And then you went on to say when they hear noises outside, they bark. Or when they hear someone at the door. So you gave us supporting detail. That's what we're going to do here with Esperanza as well. So in the first box, okay, I'm thinking that since we said we're going to write about the ranch set on fire, okay, the first box says, state the key event and or challenge Esperanza faces. So what we're going to write in the box is ranch set on fire.
Now remember, this is our chapter.
We're not writing.
Okay? You're not writing anything down. We're just going to show you what we would put. Okay, so in the first box we would put
Ranch set on fire. So I know that's when I'm writing my essay, when we're doing our paragraph, that's what we're going to start with. You know that's our topic.
no.
That's a little
Close.
With a straight face.
We've upset it.
Are you prepared?
No, you're not writing. In chapter 3, ranch set on fire.
So when you start yours, your chapter 5, you're going to think about what was the key events, the big event in chapter 5. Okay, our big event in chapter 3 was the ranch set on fire. Do you remember that chapter? Okay. Now, detail. What happens to Esperanza? What do you think we might put in there? What do you think we would put in there? What's a detail we could put in for the ranch set on fire? So what happens to Esperanza in that chapter when the ranch is set on fire? Kyle?
Tia Lewis, or Tia Louise, whatever his name is, comes over and says, what happened to your house?
So, okay, Uncle Tio shows up. All right, good. Tio Lewis comes.
What else on that?
And most of us inferred that he probably set it on fire so he could get that house for himself in the ranch.
Okay, true, but remember, we're writing about what happens to Esperanza. This detail has to be the house on fire, so what happens to Esperanza? Nate?
She doesn't realize what's happening, like she doesn't realize she's poor now, and now that she's like, she doesn't have anything really, she's sleeping in a car, now they have to move down to California, they don't have anything really.
Okay, yes, but before they move to California,
Great.
let's try to narrow it down.
She loses her house.
Yeah, she loses her house. Good.
Right? Doesn't she escape the fire?
Yeah, but,
And she loses everything, or not?
she loses her clothes, she loses all her dolls from her papa, and then they have to live in the servant quarters, and she's very like, oh, I don't want to live in this place.
Right, so right in the beginning, the first detail is that she escaped, Esperanza escapes the fire. Go write this down. And she loses everything. Now, we stated the detail. Now we're going to explain. Why is that first detail important? How does it connect to the next detail? So what can we say about Esperanza? Does she escape the fire? She loses everything. What kind of things did she lose?
Let's support it. Support that detail. Laura?
She lost like most of her life, like, cause like, she was gonna get rich for all her life, she was gonna like live in that house all her life, like, when she got married, she would live there with her mother. She was like never giving up on the house.
Okay. What kind of things did she have?
Dylan?
In particular.
She lost all the dolls that Papa gave her for her birthday.
Mm-hmm. And why is that so important to her, especially now?
Because that was what reminded her of Papa.
Yeah, good. That was her memory of Papa. Aria?
I was gonna say that was like her only memory of Papa.
Yeah, for her that was a big memory of Papa. That's all she had left material-wise. Besides the roses, yes. Very good. So we went with that one.
So for this one, we're going to write, Esperanza needs clothes from the poor box. Remember when they brought the box of clothes? And Esperanza, what was her reaction when she saw the clothes?
Oh,
Nate?
She said, I'm going to give these away, like, 'cause she thought she still had, like, all this money, but she's, like, telling to her mama, like, mama tells her that this is our clothes, people who live in this house.
Exactly. She had no idea that these clothes were for her. So Esperanza needs clothes from the poor box, and this helps explain how she lost everything. I mean, she didn't even have her clothes, of course, her dolls or anything, but she didn't have clothes to wear. So that's a really big supporting detail for Esperanza loses everything.
And if you had chosen to put a more focus on the dolls, that would have been fine too. As long as you were specific, you could support it, okay? Alright.
Yeah, we kind of lost her.
Yep, okay.
Chapter will
You guys are going to be doing chapter 5. We're working on chapter 3 right now. Okay, the next thing, Esperanza's response to the event. So how does she respond to getting the box, those clothes? How does she respond? Sam?
like, not my problem.
Yeah, kind of like, she was like, this is not my problem. She was kind of in denial a little bit, right?
Like, who loses that?
Like,
And
whose clothes
also-
are these? Good.
Also, if someone was setting your house on fire, who would take a doll and something else? What about your clothes and like
Yeah,
some pictures?
But that tells you, who said something about the
I
dolls?
said,
Alright, you were talking to, but that was for what? The dolls, why were the dolls so important to her?
This is like the only thing that like she had with Papa.
Yeah, it was because it was so important. She had just lost Papa. Her house was burned down. She just panics. She grabs her doll. I know. In some cases, you think you would have grabbed your clothes, Sam? Okay. Alright. Yes. Okay.
And in order to help us fill out the graphic organizer, what I did, of course, last night when I did my homework, I looked on page 52. And on page 52 it says, that's when Esperanza noticed the old trunk with the leather straps that the nuns had left. What is in the trunk, she asked. Our papers to travel and clothes from the poor box at the convent. The poor box? People donate them, said Mama, for others who cannot afford to buy their own. Mama, at a time like this, must we worry about some poor family who needs clothes? So what does it say about Esperanza?
It went right over her head. What did she think those clothes were for? Nate.
She doesn't realize that before her, she thinks, she's still, like, delivering them. Like, why are these here? Like, you can't deliver these right now.
Yeah, she's thinking, Mama, our house just burned down. Why are you concerned about donating clothes to other people when the clothes are what, Nate?
For her.
They're for her. So
Yeah.
Esperanza doesn't even understand that.
So instead of writing all of that from page 52, that's a lot to write, what I would put in the next box is page 52, poor box. And then I would know to go back. And I could use a quote from my paragraph. Sometimes you don't need to write everything in your graphic organizer. You could just put a little notation to go back.
That will help you too, as you guys are doing chapter 5. If you write down the page number where you're finding the details from, that way if Mrs. V or I come over and say, oh, you didn't put a detail, you can say, oh, here's my page number. I'm going to go back and cite evidence. That's right. Good. Okay, next.
So explain, what happens when Esperanza responds the way she does? She said, why do we have to give clothes to the poor? We can't worry about the poor people right now. What happens? What does Mama say? What did Mama tell her? Arnav?
She's like, oh, these clothes are for us. People donate for us. we just lost all our clothes. There's nothing left for us.
So okay,
So now we get all these clothes.
good. So Mom is explaining to Esperanza that now we are what, Cammy?
We're poor.
Now we are poor. So what I would put in this box is Mama says they are poor. Arnav?
Later, like when they're at that camp place, they're driving down to the store, the Japanese store with Miguel, and they talk about how people think they're not educated, and then she makes a joke. How could people think I'm not educated? Because she's wearing a sweater like
Could you come over, please report to the lobby? Just to come over to the lobby.
she's wearing a men's sweater with 2 times as big as her jacket with buttons missing, and she's like, how could anyone think I'm not educated? She's like being sarcastic.
Right, exactly. For the longest time, she never considered herself poor. Right?
Now the last one, you guys like doing this. We liked inferring a lot about Esperanza during the book. We were very opinionated in the beginning of how we felt about Esperanza. So this one says, what can we infer about Esperanza's character based on how she responds? So try not to think of the end of the book. Think of exactly what you're doing. What can you infer right now about Esperanza after we talked about this? We filled in all the books. I can say, I infer, Megan?
After that, she still thinks she's very rich. But she really isn't because her house already burned down. She lost all her clothes, all her dolls.
Okay, so I can infer that Esperanza still thinks she is rich. What else, Nate?
She's in denial that she's poor. She keeps on saying to herself, like, everything's just gonna come back and I'm gonna be rich again.
Good. I infer that Esperanza is in denial.
Yeah,
What other inferences would you make? Connor, what would you say? What would you infer about Esperanza right now after reading this chapter?
That she's upset. She
Okay.
wants the other clothes. She wants better clothes.
Okay, I infer that Esperanza's upset because she doesn't want those clothes. Good. All right, so we'll put in here. This is
For
what
our
I think.
conclusion,
Yes.
we can infer that Esperanza had everything. Now we're just going to jot down notes, little bullet points. Esperanza had everything. Right. Now she's poor. You could say now she has nothing. It's all how you want to word it. Now she's poor. And she can't understand. She can't understand what's happening.
That's what Connor said. Good.
Yeah, exactly.
Nate, I like how you used the word denial. That's a good description of Esperanza.
Now, what you need to notice about the graphic organizer, we focused on one particular part of that chapter. The ranch burning, how it affected Esperanza, how is she feeling, she had no clothes, we didn't start talking about Tia Louise and all these other things, we just focused on that. In your graphic organizer for chapter 5, and we're going to go through it step by step, and give you a chance to share ideas, then we'll put it up on the board. You're going to pick an event. Now you don't all have to write about the same event in chapter 5. Right? Hannah might have one idea, and Sharice might be writing about something else in chapter 5. So let's think about it, let's flip through it, and see what you can find to start your graphic organizer.
Yeah, so right now everyone turn to chapter 5. You might have it opened already from our work this morning.
I believe it's on page
I believe it's
58.
Yeah, page
If I'm not
58.
mistaken.
Yeah, it's the guavas. Page 58. Okay, look through and pick an event. Remember, this isn't a summary, page 58. You're picking one event, and maybe we can list the events on the board.
And you just did text-dependent questions on this chapter, so you know what the chapter's about. Raise your hand and tell me what the chapter's about. Chapter 5. What did you say, Kyle?
It's about llamas.
What else? What else do we do a lot of the text-dependent questions on? Nate?
Count ranch burning down.
No, that was our chapter. Now you're writing about your chapter. What
This
did we
morning,
do?
our text-dependent questions.
Look at the text-dependent questions, Rhea.
About, like the train station and getting that ugly.
Yeah, the train station. So Nate, you're right. We were writing about the ranch. That was chapter 3. Now in chapter 5, you are going to think about an event that happened during the train ride.
Okay, so the train would one key event. You don't need to copy this down. We're just going to put our ideas up, and then you choose the key event.
Can we take it from our paper that we worked on?
Yeah, look again.
Yes.
That's why we did this morning. Good. Kyle and Connor, or Quinn or Mariana, someone from this table. What's another event, a key event in that chapter? Mariana?
I have a question. Would the doll be part of the train ride?
Yes. Yes, the doll can be part of the train ride. if you wanted to specifically focus on the doll, that would be a good one. Because the train ride, you could talk about the car, like how she thought it was second class, or you can talk about the doll, that's good. Another one, let me see, what's another event from this chapter? Tamar?
When they're in the wagon and they're like sitting there.
Good, the wagon. Okay, what's another one? Kat?
Every stop Miguel and Alfonso, I think, were stopping off the train to let him off it.
Okay, so what could you talk about from chapter 5? What were they wedding? What was that?
They were laying a rag and there was wobbles in the box that they got from Senora Rodriguez.
Okay, good. Guavas, and there was something else they carried. Remember, we actually made a wrong guess. We thought it was the guavas, and it ended up being the rose. Remember, we thought, oh, they have guavas, and how silly that was. They were bringing guavas. So the rose bush. Okay. What's another event, Arna?
I put Esperanza on the train, like what happened to her with the doll.
Okay, the doll. Good. I have that up there already. Good. What's another event? Anything else from those questions? Look at the 3 questions that you answered. What were the Nate?
How she pulled away the doll from the phone doll.
Okay, good. I have the doll.
Also, how she doesn't really like she explains how she the train ride was like in the like about
Yeah, with the car about where she was going to sit. Right. Good. Mark.
Carmen,
What?
Carmen.
Carmen? Good. Because what does Esperanza say about the begging woman? What is she like? And she's kind of funny about it. She's like, well, I don't understand. Quinn.
Like she doesn't understand why she can't just get
Yeah, she says, look, the farmer's market's right there. Why can't the begging woman go and buy some food? And we kind of laughed when we read that because Esperanza doesn't realize what? That she's poor. She doesn't have any money because Esperanza's not used to that. She doesn't have any concept. I think Jackson, you said it. She doesn't have any concept of money. Okay.
Now, before we start the graphic organizer, can we back up just one
Yes.
step? Can you just, because we go to the paragraph, when we write it, it should look like this.
So does this make sense? Now remember which we just filled in, chapter 3, and then Mrs. B and I put our paragraph together. So it says, one night the ranch catches fire and burns to the ground. Is that our key event? There it is. Good. Esperanza and her family safely escape but lose almost everything they own in the flames. Did we say that? Lose everything? Yes, that's our
There's no second box.
Good. Because Esperanza and Mama do not even have clean clothes to wear, the nuns give them clothes from the poor box. Was that on my organizer? Yes. When Esperanza sees the box left by the nuns, she asks, Mama, at the time like this, must we worry about some poor family who needs clothes? Did we put that down? Mrs. B read that quote. That would be your citing your evidence right there, okay? Mama calmly explains to Esperanza that they are the ones who are poor because they have no home, no money, and the clothes are for them. Esperanza can't understand that she is no longer wealthy and will need to be grateful for the charity of others now. So do you remember every single one of those points that we made in our, and then that's a nice paragraph, right? Those are what your paragraphs are going to look like. They're going to be nice and detailed. They're going to have a quote, okay? All from the accordion graphic organizer.
And it's only about 6 sentences because we had 6 boxes, 6 details and supporting details. So we took it, made nice sentences. The only thing I would criticize here, and that you all should know, this should be indented. Whenever you start your paragraph, remember you have to always indent. This
We made a mistake.
is not.
Yes, I did. I did not indent. I
Yes,
know.
you did.
It's awful.
Okay, so that's what we're looking for every paragraph. So right now we're going to start with you thinking of a topic for chapter 5. If you want to flip through, you want to talk to your friend, your partner, you've got a minute or 2, think about a topic and then come back and share.
So right now we're thinking about what key events from the board are you going to choose to write about. So talk about with your group, okay? And pick a key event. We'll give you a minute or 2, starting right now.
Yes.
Okay.
You're going to have 3 paragraphs. On 3 separate chapters. Right now we're only doing the Don't worry, we're doing it one step.
Here, I'll talk to you.
Don't worry. Okay, let's go back.
Well, you have a really nice question.
Okay, you're only doing this for the 2 boxes. Just do box number 1. We're not filling it in yet. Just box number 1. Think of a key event.
Oh, not right
No,
now.
just write it down. One,
Okay, so okay, so
you can do your own, you can share ideas and go one at one. Okay, ready? Just box number 1.
Yeah, that's gonna be our kid.
Okay, so you're just,
alright. Think about train ride. Yeah, me too. Train ride.
what do you write about?
What's that? Joshua. Okay. Oh, the wagon ride. Good. Something different. What are you guys doing? Okay.
No, you can just write box number 1. Yeah, you're only completing box number 1 right now.
You feel like you're copying it? Okay. Okay. So, okay. Okay, what about you? The begging woman? Okay, great, try it out. Great topics. Okay. Train ride? I like train ride. Good, yes. Which one are you gonna do? No, you're all doing chapter 5, it's all in blocks. Which one? Train ride or doll? And you had to go with answers. Mackenzie? The doll, good, all right, so everyone now has their key event, okay? So let's move to,
So in your box, everybody in the topic box should have that key event. Train ride, the doll, meeting Carmen, the rose bush.
just put the doll time.
You can think about a detail. For your second box, it says, what happens to Esperanza? Think about the detail now to tie in with your topic, your specific event. What do you got? Think for a minute and then share. What can you write as a detail? When we wrote about the ranch, the fire, we said Esperanza escapes the fire, loses everything. If you're writing about the doll, what could you write as a detail? Mariana? Okay. Not if I write dirty girl. A little girl. A little peasant girl, maybe peasant girl. Okay, a little girl wants to hold her doll. What else can we say?
Who had a good, I just thought, now, Arnab, you wanna read your detail?
And then
A
Joshua.
little peasant girl comes to Esperanza and tries to touch her dog.
Okay, Aaron, just say that one more time. A little peasant girl what?
A little peasant girl comes to her and tries to touch her dog.
Good. Now you don't have to write this in your graphic organizer if you're not writing about the doll. Or if you are writing about the doll and you want to write something else as your detail, that's fine. We don't all have to write the same paragraph. We're just sharing. So who wants to share another detail? Nate.
Carmen gives money to the poor lady begging.
Say that again.
Carmen gives money to the poor lady.
Okay, what's your topic? What are you writing about?
The begging woman.
Okay, so that's your detail. Carmen gives money to the poor, the begging person. Kyle, what's your topic and give us the detail?
We're doing a train ride in Esperanza. What happens in Esperanza, she arrives in a train car with 30 peasants, but she would be in a fantasy car.
Oh, I like that, fantasy car, good.
Fancy car.
Fancy cars.
Okay,
Wagon, who's the wagon? Who did the wagon ride? Want to say one of your details? Alright, Smart, read what you started writing. Let's listen to you, Smart.
Esperanza tends to get cranked in the bottom of a wagon.
Very good. Oh, Hunter, what were you gonna?
Esperanza rides her kids on a
Good. Okay, good.
so everybody should have box number 1 and box number 2 of your graphic organizer complete. Okay, box number 3. Explain. Why is that first detail important and how does it connect to the next detail? So now what can we write for our third box? Mrs. C and I wrote that Esperanza needs clothes from the 4 box. So what can you write now about the doll, the wagon ride, the train ride? Think about it for a second. Flip through the chapter or look at your text and then questions, because they might help you come up with something. Okay, Esperanza didn't want her to hold the doll. What else did Esperanza do if you're writing about the doll? What else did Esperanza do?
Oh, this way.
What'd you do? Kyle?
Even though I'm not running about the ball, Esperanza took it and put it in her bag, and then Mama said to the little girl, Mom, sorry about my daughter's bag.
Right. Esperanza took the doll and put it back in her suitcase. What's that other word they use in the book for suitcase, Tamar? Her valise. She took it away. No, valise, her suitcase. Okay, and so what else happened? So those are things you can write about the doll. What are some of the other topics you're writing about? Tell me about the train ride. Who's writing about Rhea? Tell me your topic.
Esperanza's train ride.
Train ride. Tell me the first detail.
They have to get out of the car with lots of peasants.
They get on the car with lots of peasants. Okay, explain.
Esperanza passes this really nice, fancy car, and they have to get into a car with food on the floor with lots of peasants.
Okay. She passes a nice car. She gets on the train car with the peasants. So we're all on box number 3 we're explaining. Connie, will you share anything about the bush?
Esperanza's response to the event. So
Yeah, read the first one. Read us all the way down to the 3rd box. So what's your topic?
how she acts by hiding the doll. She's like,
Miguel and Alfonso will talk about the
Okay. Detail?
and Esperanza doesn't know about the relationship.
Marianne, hold on a second. Go ahead. And the 3rd box, explain.
she's acting by not sharing. She's
Okay, but what can we say now?
the clothes and
What can we say about her, wondering about what Miguel's doing?
is she being kind? Is she being caring? No. What are the words?
So we'll have to restart.
Okay, how does she feel to stop and as we stop the water?
Inconsiderate. There you go. So you say Esperanza is being
Yeah, she's
considerate.
curious. She's wondering what's happening. Why is he stopping?
Because Esperanza kind of thinks she's better than her, but they're in the same car.
So I'll give you all a chance to, you should be completing box number 1, box number 2, and box number 3 with your own details. But Mrs. C and I were writing about the fire on the ranch. In box number 4, it says another detail. We go to page 52, core box. Look at your text-dependent questions and see if you can find a quote or a page that will help you fill in that box tomorrow. Yes, read yours so far.
Esperanza's wagon ride. Esperanza, Hensia, and Mama are parents in a large wagon. And Esperanza wants to go in a small wagon with Mama and Hensia. So if someone walks by, there's things in it.
So we could share during.
Somebody walks by, they'll think,
It's just a man and his son.
just a man and his son.
Maybe things that people.
So now for the detail box, 1, 2, 3, 4th box down,
Right.
maybe you should look
Share that maybe.
in chapter 5, page 58 to 80. And find a quote. Find something that you can maybe put in your box, page 63. I know we looked at some pages on the text-dependent questions. There were some particular pages you were asking at. So look at them right now so you can fill in box number 4. When you're ready to share your 4th box, don't go on to box number 5 yet. Let's just do 4, and you can share that.
Then you could get a quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can go.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should try to stick a quote somewhere in your paragraph. And the best place to find it is the text-dependent questions from this morning, because they had some page numbers and quotes. Okay, who's sharing box number 4?
Oh, yes.
Hunter. Start from 1 and bring us all the way to box number 4.
I learned about the ride. Esperanza goes to her camp on a hot crowded wagon. Esperanza is very upset because now she's being treated like a peasant. Esperanza's cranky, upset, and tired.
Esperanza's cranky, upset, and tired. Or not. Read over box number 4 to the detail.
Esperanza and the doll. A little peasant girl comes to her and tries to touch her doll. It's important because we realize how selfish she is. Esperanza jerks the doll away and hides it in her valise.
Good. Good. Now, next box. When I was writing about the ranch on fire, I said the ranch set on fire. It said Esperanza escapes the fire, loses everything. My third box said Esperanza needs clothes from the poor box. My fourth box had the quote from page 52. Poor box. My fifth box said, explain. What happens when Esperanza responds the way she does? Mama says they are poor. What did Mama do on the train when Esperanza took the doll? So if you're writing about the doll, Esperanza took it away from the little girl, what does Mama do? Think about that. If you're writing about the wagon ride.
Yeah.
It's Barb, what are you writing?
I'm worrying about the wagon ride. And second box, I wrote Esperanza, Hortensia, and Mama are cramped in the bottom of the wagon. Third box, Esperanza has to go in a small wagon with Mama and Hortensia, so if someone walks by, they just think it's a man and his son. Fourth box, suddenly Esperanza thought she couldn't breathe. Mama, Esperanza yelled, right here, said Mama, appreciatively.
Good. Okay, so in the fifth box, you should be telling us what happens when Esperanza responds the way she does. In my graphic organizer, Mama said she was poor. In your graphic organizer, tell me something about the doll. What did Mama do? You said it this morning, you texted me the questions. Dylan?
The little physical starts to cry. She goes to her mom, and Mama apologizes for Esperanza's behavior.
Yes, Mama apologizes for Esperanza's behavior. There's a good quote on one of the pages for that as well. Does anybody else want to share what they've written up to box number 5? Rhea, just read, because you read all of it before. Read box number 5. Explain what happens as Esperanza responds.
Her mom said, Mija, it is all we could afford. We must make do. But remember, we are going to a place that will be better than living in Seattle.
Good, so Mama's explaining to her what's going to happen. Arnav, box number 5.
A mom becomes ashamed and has to say sorry to the little peasant girl's mother.
Mama's ashamed and...
And has to say sorry to the little peasant girl's mother.
Yes. Give us another detail or another explanation. Anybody else writing about something different? The conclusion.
Oh, my favorite part.
The conclusion.
What?
What can we infer about Esperanza's character based on how she responds? We inferred in chapter 3 that Esperanza had everything, now she's poor, and she can't understand what's happening. What can you, no, of course we read the book, we know what happens. But what can you infer from chapter 3? The train ride, the giving money to the begging woman. Chapter 5, yeah. The rose bush. No, we did 3. You're writing about it, I hope.
And when you write your conclusion, make sure you say I infer. Okay, use that term. You know how to use it now. So what do you infer about Esperanza?
What can we say about it, Kate?
She, like that, chapter 3.
No, chapter 5. Tell me about your chapter.
She, under disability thing I wrote about was the poor lady. So she doesn't really understand what's happening about she's going to, why can't she just go to the market and buy some stuff herself?
Okay, Nate's talking about, she doesn't understand why the woman can't just go to the market and buy her food. That was from this morning's questions, it's a great thing to use. So she doesn't understand why people don't have money to go shopping. Okay, that's what he's inferring. What else?
What
Give us
else can you
something
infer?
else.
Hunter and Tamar, what can you infer about after the wagon ride? I know that was your topic. What's your inference going to be about Esperanza?
What
do you think?
Esperanza.
What can you infer about her now? What about her character? Maybe how she's feeling or how she's acting.
The whole wagon ride?
Hunter, you want to help her out?
I didn't do that.
Oh, you didn't do that one yet? Okay, you're still thinking? You lost it? All right, we'll think about it for a little bit. We'll come back.
Rhea.
I infer that Esperanza is greedy because she wants to be in a fancy car.
She wants to be in a fancy car. She doesn't want to be riding in the front of the wagon. Or not.
I infer that Esperanza doesn't understand that people do not have what she has, and that she has to stop acting like a queen.
You can infer that
Good.
she's
She has to stop acting like a queen. She doesn't understand why people don't have the things she has. Megan.
I infer that Esperanza doesn't understand what is going on and thinks she's so bitter because Mama said they were going to a better place.
Excellent. Good job. Now, here's the thing. for homework tonight. You're gonna take this graphic organizer that you just completed, and you're going to write a little paragraph like we had up on the board for chapter 3. You're writing about chapter 5 based on your information.
And look at our paragraph. Our paragraph is only about maybe 5 or 6 sentences because you have 6 boxes. So just you don't need to have 9, but you can write a sentence. You can have a nice topic sentence. You have your details, your supporting details, and your conclusion. Okay, your inference. And that's your first paragraph is already done. So then tomorrow, when we start our next paragraph, you already know how to do your organizer. So now we can kind of move a little faster.
And we're going to use this for each of the chapters, each paragraph. Now, keep in mind, this is not one story just about the train ride. This is going to be 3 separate paragraphs about 3 separate chapters or 3 separate topics. So each paragraph is going to have a topic sentence. Each paragraph is going to have details and a conclusion. And then you're going to start, we're going to tell you what the next topic's going to be or what the next chapter will be.
So let's go back to our targets really quick
Okay,
over
we're
here.
going to do all the time.
Look really quick. Hold on 1 second, Tamara. So I can analyze how Esperanza responds to a key event. So we've done 1 key event. Okay, tomorrow we'll do a second, and then on Thursday we'll have 3 key events. So you'll be able to analyze it and explain how she responds to those events. And then the last one, I can use an accordion graphic organizer to write a paragraph. Can we do that now? Yes. So we can check that off. Check it off. This we're getting good at. And this we will check off on Thursday when we finish all our 3 key events. Okay, any questions? Mark, back to you.
If I can get,
Oh, your inference? Go ahead.
Esperanza doesn't want to leave El Rancho de la Rosas and start a new life.
Ooh, that's good. I like that. She doesn't want to leave. That's
Nope.
good.
That is good.
I like the way you said El Rancho de los Rosas.
How about
Okay. You also will have a rubric due maybe tomorrow so that you know exactly what we're looking for. Okay, so you get your rubric tomorrow and another graphic organizer to finish up our paragraphs.
Now, some of you asked me, when's final copy due? Final copy due. Tonight you're writing paragraph number 1. Okay, so you come in tomorrow, we're going to share, we're going to look at it, you might hand it in, paragraph number 1. Tomorrow we're going to work on paragraph number 2. Same way, graphic organizer and your key event. Paragraph number 3 will most likely be done here in class. You will be asked to complete it and write it. So this week we're done. We're done with Esperanza, we're wrapping up the story.
And
The
then
writing.
Friday we have our fiesta. Okay, so Friday we read our 2 boys' poems on Friday, and we have our fiesta with some snacks, some drinks, and some maybe our arts and